hate that feeling when I have to sneeze. It's like right in there into the back of my nasal cavity, like right back here. It ain't coming. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you as always so much for being here. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for coming on in. Today, let us go ahead and listen to the second side of Initiation by Todd Rundgren. The second side, which is going to be one track, 136 minute track entitled A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Why can't I speak today? Anyways, this was released in 1975. A lot of you have been recommending this this album to me, this specific track to me. I see that it's an instrumental, so there's no lyrics for us to go over. Now, before we go on further, actually, before we even do that, this was recommended to me by David Oliveras, who said, "If not now, when?" Isn't that an Incubus album? Courtney Wallace, Jade Dragon, Bob Holtzman, Leo Scone, Jack the Ripper. A lot of you have been recommending this one. Damon Ramirez, I hear you. I hear all of you. Yeah, and the list goes on. And I think Miss Astor Dancer actually recommended this as well. So thank you as well for the recommendation, for the suggestion. We've listened to a little bit of Todd Rundgren here and there. We've listened to Todd Rundgren's Utopia. And now we're moving on to this one. Now, before we get into the music, I have the actual record. There you go. Right there. I have the actual physical copy of the record right here. Está aquí. However, you may be asking yourself, JP, why aren't you playing the actual record? Why don't you put it on the record player and let it spin? Let us listen to it straight from the source. Well, there are two reasons, actually. One, I actually was going to do that. I pulled out the record, and there were some scratches like on the face, I guess you would call it, of the record where it would be playing. And for the purpose of this channel, I don't know if those scratches would affect the actual playback of it. And I don't want to get 60 minutes in and then it starts skipping, or, you know, the music stops or whatever could happen. So I'd rather just play safe and just play it, you know, straight from Spotify here, play the digital copy. Then, ow, hit my hat. Also, when I had I had opened up the record sleeve, which I'll open up again as we listen, I saw a warning that's actually also in the text on the Wikipedia page. And it said, because I guess there's so much music packed onto the record itself, there's a note, a warning, that says, due to the amount of music on this disc, 2 points must be emphasized. Firstly, if your needle is worn or damaged, it will ruin the disc immediately. Secondly, if the sound does not seem loud enough on your system, try re-recording the music onto tape. By the way, thanks for buying the album. And that's literally also right inside of the record sleeve. I look for it. So I'm just trying to be risk whatever the word is. I'm trying to avoid all of that. I just want to listen to the music, and I'm sure that this is going to be the best way to do it, just playing straight from the source. Because obviously, you know, for obvious reasons, I can't test to see if it'll work. I can't test it to see if it'll play properly because, you know, it's a first listen. I'm not allowed to listen to the music just yet, so we'll toss that in back there. And that's it. For the rest of your time here, I hope that you enjoyed the music. Like I said, it's going to be a 36-minute long track, so grab a coffee, grab a biscuit, grab a cookie, grab your whiskey, grab your wife, grab your husband, grab your partner, sit on down. Let's take a trip through Rundgren Town. A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Let's go. That's good. That's great. We're kidding. Oh, dude. All day I'm with that. If we're doing that for 36 minutes, let's go. That's sweet. Those chords. So far, this is perfect. 2 for 2. Next part. It's gorgeous. Organ rip. celebration is this? Synth Fiesta. contrast. Those sensors going back and forth on each side. Fighter music. That was interesting. Doesn't this sound kind of Zappa-esque? I don't know what I don't know what I'm sup- I don't know what I'm supposed to think. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what just happened. I don't know what musical gap I have in my mind that Todd Rundgren's treatise in Cosmic Fire. I don't know what it just filled, but it filled something. I can tell you that. That last whole 20-minute section, what? Let me know what you guys thought, by the way, before I start talking. My mind is fried right now. I've never taken anything, but that made me feel like I'm flying. Okay. This is one I really need to, like, I need a second to really gather my thoughts, and I need a second to gather myself. Before we dive too deep into it, as I start to recollect everything, first of all, very, very noteworthy is that Todd Rundgren is playing everything. He is handling every instrument, every sound, every buzz, every beat, every pop in this particular track, which is incredible. No matter how you feel about the track, I think that you have to give credit where credit is due to Todd for just handling everything in here. And if anything, you have to admit that every single sound is so unique. There are so many different tones, so many different shades of color in the music, so many different instruments, of course. And for one person to be handling all of that is beyond incredible. I think that that's out of this world. Especially because you do get so many different textures and sounds, and everything sounds so completely different from another, that for one person to come up with every single thing, every single idea in there is beyond imaginable. So I think regardless of how you feel about the piece as a whole, you have to give it that. I think you definitely have to give credit to Mr. Rundgren. So these tracks are broken up into 4 different parts. The intro, part 2, the fire of mind, part 3, the fire of spirit, and then the last part, the internal fire. So one thing I think is really interesting is that looking at the parts and how they're broken up, you start with the intro, and then you start with part 2, then you start with part 3, but the last one is, at least here, part 1, it says. So it's almost like, yep, it's just like that here as well. So it's like Todd took us from near the beginning, but brought us back to the actual beginning, which obviously we got a reprise there at the end of the last part. Okay. I think I'm ready to spill my beans and my thoughts to you guys. I think I'm ready to finally put to words what I'm feeling. The last part, which is the 20-minute part that we heard, that I'm going to have to kind of listen to again. That I got to give it a second. The first 2 parts I thought were absolutely perfect. They were brilliant. They sounded immaculate. I love how melodious everything is, how harmonizing everything is. The sounds, the notes, the chords, the scales, all of that good stuff. It feels good. It sounds good. It's intriguing. There's a lot of mystery behind the music. Obviously, there's a lot of technical depth and wizardry that Rundgren has mastered, that has, this has been part of that brick-by-brick approach into his career, and this is one of those strong bricks. Even the experimental section at the end. Be honest, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for the experimental electronic stuff going on. However, once again, I still have to give credit to where credit is due for him being this experimental, this forward-thinking. When did I say this came out? 1975. 1975. To be this forward-thinking and pushing the envelope, pushing what you can do with music and with sound, that is worth noting on its own. Like I said, I don't like how it sounds. I'm talking about the last part. I don't like how it sounded. I didn't care for that part. But regardless of that, I have to appreciate what was being done in 1975. And without that kind of experimentation that, of course, Todd was doing and so many others, you wouldn't have a lot of the music that you have today and will have in the future. So let's get that out the way. But I want to kind of break this down into these 4 parts. Let me lower the volume a little bit. And I want to get into the first part, which is the intro. Perfect. 10 out of 10. I love the intro. Let me pull it back here a little bit. Skip a little bit. Right about here. Okay. Ooh. I even said it during the music. If the whole thing is like this, I am in. Todd's guitar. Oh. Like, oh. The notes that he plays, oh, it's just so beautiful. There's a hint of like R&B, and once again, just how melodic it is. The drumming, the drum pattern is just pushing it along. The bass is soulful. The electronics are pulsing, grooving, moving rhythmically in the back, just pushing this all along. I listened to a decent amount of Japanese city pop and stuff like that. By the way, if you have never heard of her, check out Akiko Yano, okay? A lot of people will say that she's the Japanese Kate Bush, which, sure, if you want to go ahead and make an equivalent in the closest relationship, you could say that. But, God, her music is absolutely gorgeous. Akiko Yano. But anyways, the sound here is kind of give me a very distant, I'm not saying they sound the same, but I am kind of feeling the same feelings when I listen to city pop as I'm listening to the first part here. I love the production. Like I said, I love all the instrumentation around it. It's magical. It's enchanting. It's a great intro. I love the little bit of escalation here. Oh, the little climactic explosions at the end. And in a way, it's playing repetitive. I mean, in a way, the guitar is singing out those long notes in a somewhat similar fashion, but I like how it sounds, and I like, hey, listen, if I like how you do it the first time, I'm probably going to like how you do it the second time. And I'm probably going to like how you do it the 17th time. I'm just going to enjoy it. And that doesn't get boring to me. I can tell you right now on the first listen, I could jam with that all day. Give that to me. I like how in sync the guitar and the keyboards are, as well as they're kind of shadowing one another. Like, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So the intro, part one, or well, technically, it's intro. That's a 10 out of 10 to me. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Let's move into the next 10 out of 10 part. The next part here, this slows things down a bit and gives a lot more space. With that specific sound that you hear there, I love that sound that it starts on one note and then pitches. Just blew out the microphone. And then pitches up really fast. So that wow, wow, like that. That is so satisfying of a sound to me. That is absolutely beautiful. And this whole ambience that's being built here is really like gorgeous. It's kind of like lights on a rainy city that I see. And people walking through the city and stepping in the puddles and the city being reflected in the puddles, so you get those ripples. I don't know, there's just something about this that I think is absolutely wonderful. It's slightly melancholic as well, sure, you could say that, but there's a deep satisfaction and happiness within that. And once again, all the different sounds, all the different electronics that come in and just sweep, they beep, they peep, they do so many things, but they always sound organic, they sound like they belong to the music, and the music here sounds like it belongs to itself. Like, there's a gorgeous ambience here. So the first two parts, honestly, were just perfect. So that's going to be what, the first 8 minutes or so, I think are just wonderful. Actually, even speaking of which, the very beginning kind of sounds like the Downtown Lights by the Blue Nile. Anyways, I love these little escalations here as well. That's just beautiful. The way that Todd brings all the lights down near the end, gorgeous. Another 10 out of 10 section. Let's move into the third part, which is technically part 2. But the third section, okay? The third section changes things up again. We get into a little bit more of an upbeat tempo. There's a lot more going on. Let's talk about this one. So, if I can make a brief comparison, and I'm not going to use this comparison throughout the whole thing, but just as to bring two figures of instrumental music and lengthy songs together, Mike Oldfield, okay? Mike Oldfield, when you listen to Omadon and Tubular Bells and, Hargis Ridge, like when you listen to all those, they'll always have a section, well, usually they'll have a section, where the music can change into something more festive, more lighthearted, more jovial. And you get the same thing here in part 3, where the music sounds much more celebratory. Like I mentioned, it sounds like a synthetic fiesta. That's happening. And once again, I'm actually really enjoying this change of pace. We've gotten, in my opinion, the first part, which was epic, the second part, which was melancholic and meditative, and now we're getting into the celebratory, the festive, the dance. And I think, once again, he's doing a great job of creating these very happy synths. Moving forward just a wee bit, so I want to get about here. This, I thought it was interesting. We got kind of like, in my estimation, a kind of cannon fire sound or some sort of artillery fire. There was some kind of heavy explosion constantly firing off sound that was going on back there. But the music has now kind of changed. Yeah, it's still fun, but to me it sounds kind of like a merry-go-round. It sounds like a carousel, right? Doesn't the music kind of sound like carousel music? Like, imagine you're walking through the carnival and you're seeing all the rides and all the stuff and everything, and you hear this. I feel like you'd be like, at first you'd think, okay, that's kind of, it's typical carnival music. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. And then you're kind of listening to it, you're like, someone put on some work on this thing. So this ain't royalty-free carnival music. Someone actually like composed this. So I think that actually part 3 sounds really cool as well. You still have some of that mystery, still some of that ambience and build-up from before. It's just played a little bit differently, you know? So part 3, I actually really like as well. On first listen, I'm not going to give it the 10 out of 10 status that I gave the first 2. On first listen, I'll give this like a 9. Still really good, but the first 2 just really like hit me. You know, there's a difference between music like connecting with you in a different way and then music you really enjoy. This I really enjoy, but the first 2, you know, that's when you walk in that's when you walk into the house and you smell bacon and breakfast going off like in the kitchen. Oh, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. But let's talk about the last part. Let's talk about that one, because that's gonna be different. So the last part, which is technically entitled the first, is the internal fire, and each of these has like another title. There's a lot of titles in this. Anyways, the last part, which is the 20-minute section, has 8 different sections in it, which I'm not gonna try to pronounce them, but it looks like each of the sections is named after different chakras according to Hindu Tantrism. Okay. Which I did see also before we got into the music. I saw that this title of the track is named after a book, which was written by, hold on. The title and concept are taken directly from Alice A. Bailey's book, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. So actually, before we talk about the last part, let's look at that, huh? Let's see what this treatise on cosmic fire is about, so that perhaps we have some idea of what we're talking about as we move into these instrumental tracks. Because like I always say with instrumental tracks, I get a story in my head and I get certain pictures in my mind, but I want to see what was actually intended here. Let's see. A treatise on cosmic fire deals with the underlying structure of occult teaching for the present era, with vast cosmic processes reproduced through all areas of life, from universe to atom. Can I get that in first grade vernacular? It is therefore no book for the proof-demanding concrete mind, or for those who dabble in the spectacular and the phenomenal. The true student, however, the seriously applied aspirant, will find his mind stimulated and his consciousness expanded. Once again, can I get the first grade vernacular? So what's it about? Let me see if I can find a... That sounds so bad. I need a better summary of what the book's about, because honestly, I didn't learn anything reading that part. The volume deals with the underlying structure of occult teaching for the present era, and with those vast cosmic processes reproduced through all areas of life, from universe to atom. A large section of the book gives a detailed exposition of solar fire, the fire of the mind, since this is the dominant energy to be understood and controlled during this second solar system. A treatise on cosmic fire provides a compact outline of a scheme of cosmology, philosophy, and psychology, and serves as a basic reference and textbook. You know how sometimes you're reading and you read a page, you read the second page, you get 15 pages in, and then you realize 15 pages in that you haven't understood a thing you read. I'm feeling like unintelligent right now. I still don't know. I couldn't even like guess or tell you like it's talking about energy and the structure of a. I'm reading it like 10 times. I can't spend overly too much time on it. Um, I don't even know. Talking about like the energy and the connection of everything and the vast cosmic processes. Oh God. I feel like I need to read this now. I feel like I need to look. I'm looking at a preview page right now, and I can't. I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about different energies, guys. We're talking about different energies and structures, cosmic structures, and I mean, it did say it's not for the concrete of mind, and I guess my mind's too concrete to get it. Let's just talk about the fourth part here, okay? So part 4, it has 8 different sections, and these, like I said, are based on each of the chakras of Hindu Tantrism. So the subtitles for all of these are The Dance of Kundalini, Bam Bam Mam Yam Ram Lam, Thank You Mom. Are you kidding me? Is that Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am? Bam Bam Mam Yam Ram Lam, Thank You Mom? I hope not. Seed of fire, the halls of air, sounds beyond ears, sights beyond eyes, nirvana, chakra, and prana, which is that beginning part that reprises at the end. Anyways, the last part, we get kind of one of those mystical openings. I'm perfectly fine with that. When it gets into this sound, with that, it sounds like a drum machine. I don't think they had drum machines at this point, but maybe like a drum sample that's just being, repeatedly sequenced over and over. There's a bass on top of it. I think there's like another key-based sound on top of it as well. That sound is just, it goes on for a long time. It comes back several times throughout this track or this part of the track, and I didn't enjoy the sound the first time around. However, if it was one time around, I could kind of deal with it. But because it keeps on coming back and back, I just found the harshness and rapid fire approach of it like kind of annoying, and it took away from the music and all the ambience that was built before. This is like completely different. Like, I can appreciate, once again, I like what he's doing with the guitar back there, kind of like, I don't know why I thought of this phrase, and I don't think it's a phrase, but he's kind of wonking off on the side. I don't know why that was. Sometimes I make up my own words, but like the guitar is kind of wonking off on the side, and what I mean is like he's sidelining that harsh beat and that approach that's being happening there, but he's doing it with like kind of strange bends in the guitar. Like if you listen, well, before that, now he's just ripping it. Like there is a cool sound there. I just don't like that boom 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 boom, like that kind of sounds like an arcade, right? But like a distorted kind of wrecked arcade. So there's that. And then that sound just kind of changes and morphs later on. Now, kind of talking about all this fire and the internal fire and fire by friction, I definitely get a fiery spirit when listening to that. Like, this is definitely very frictional, if that's even right. And that part even sounds cool because along with those hits, you're getting those synth plays. And I do like arcade music, 8-bit, 16-bit, etc. bit music. I think that it sounds really cool. So because it has that kind of sound in here, I think that's cool. I think that's a good tone to use. It's just kind of getting that bit crush sound. Kind of gets a little tiring for me personally after a while. It's broken up a lot in the structure as he breaks it down here. Skip ahead. We get back into this ambience, which doesn't work so well as like this isn't like, music for airports. This isn't Brian Eno, or anything like that. It's not that kind of beautiful, blissful, harmonious sound. This is, as he said, something with friction. This is meant to make you perhaps think, make you, I don't want to say ascend, but kind of think beyond, I guess, normality, if you will. It kind of goes in a different direction. This is closer to noise music rather than an ambient, pleasant, for lack of a better word, music. But yeah, I don't like all that. Some of it sounded like Zappa to me. I had mentioned that during the music, but some of it was kind of Zappa-esque. Even with like sections like this. I just, it sounds like we're progging off. It sounds like we're progging off, and like it just doesn't. I guess in a way it fits with what's been going on in this particular part for the last 10 minutes, but I don't like it, and especially coming from just how beautiful the first three parts were. This is taking that conflict and making it like an ambient noise conflict, and it's harsh. It's not easy listening, and perhaps on subsequent listens I would get it. I don't I don't know if I care to take subsequent listens, if I'm being honest, right? However, all things change here in the end. I think in this ambience, where once again we have all those beeps, the creeps, the peeps, and the sweeps, and all these other sounds that come out, I think in that section, just because everything's slowed down, and I really do love that ambient, like that kind of synth sound that's kind of waving in the back, I do really like that part. I think because, like I said, everything slows down. We're still getting lots of effects on the sides and all these other things. Reminds me a little bit of the ambient section in Pink Floyd's Echoes. I think that that's really cool. And I think it does a great job of contrasting the harshness that was played before. So it works even better because it's like a relief from the chaos that we were presented with before. But at the same time, musically and, enjoyability wise, I'm not going to listen to that chaotic part again. I would skip that. I'm just being real, right? I can appreciate, but I'm never going to listen to that again. I do really like this part. And of course, the reprisal that comes in at the end here is just, once again, absolutely glorious. And what a beautiful return to form, of course, kind of capturing this cosmic cycle and these structures that whatever the concept was talking about before. Either way, it all comes back in rotation. It all comes right back to the beginning. And I really enjoyed that, especially, like I said, noted that this is technically part one. So kind of in the beginning, there was like fire and chaos. And then from that fire and chaos, we got into this beauty and structure and composition. And then this just kind of moved on from there. So I like how it kind of began structurally at like a midpoint, worked our way to the beginning, to show how the cycles and how the revolutions work. Yeah. So once again, I have no idea the actual the treatise on cosmic fire, the book. I'm sorry, it's a concept that's beyond my concrete mind. But regardless, the track was really, really interesting as a whole. Like I said, just to repeat it once again, those first two parts, 10 out of 10. The third part, 9 out of 10. The fourth part, I'm undecided, but I didn't generally like all the sounds. So there's that. There's that. Hey, first of all of you who had recommended me to listen to this album, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you as well for sending this over to me. I had something else I was going to say. I felt like I was going to say something else. Besides like my usual outro, I had something else on my mind and I don't know. What was I going to say? Guess the world will never know. Hey, anyways. Thank you guys so much for the recommendation. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Just kind of summing it up really quick. This is one of those pieces that I'm glad I heard because, like I said in the initial, as I started talking, this definitely fills a musical knowledge hole because I don't think I've heard anything quite like this. So I'm glad to have that hole filled, but I don't know if I'll ever pull that book out again. That's all. I don't know. And also, is the rest of the album kind of like in this same vein, or is this completely different from the first side? Because the first side looks like it's just 6 kind of normal tracks. You guys can let me know on that. But regardless of all of that, first of all, sincerely thank you for watching this video. I don't know how long I've been rolling the camera, but I know it's been a while. I know it's probably been at least 45 minutes, probably. So thank you for sticking around and watching and listening to the music alongside me. Definitely. Let me know your thoughts down below if you didn't already. Like I said at the beginning, please. I want to know what you guys think of it. And as I always say, just go through the outro spiel. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. I post sometimes. Not a ton, but I post sometimes. You can also support myself, the channel, on Patreon. It helps a lot. That's how I have more time to do more videos and such because I don't have to do extra work in real life. I can spend more time on YouTube life doing things. So you can do that as well. And that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like the video before you leave if you got this far. Just click the button. It helps a lot. It costs you nothing. You can subscribe if you haven't as well. But otherwise, I hope to hear from you and see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you then, guys. Bye.